we are facing unprecedented oppositional expenditures from billionaires who are trying to buy our democracy. In Oakland, a huge multinational corporation has spent an unprecedented amount for a local council race because they want tax loopholes. They want exclusive monopolies. They want the right to abuse communities and workers. And when I wouldn't go along with that, they decided to put more money than we've found any record of any company ever putting into a local city council race to try to oust me because I'm standing up for the people of Oakland and for our community. And similarly, statewide, we have unprecedented spending by companies that are trying to engage in tax evasion and worker abuse in the campaign for Prop 22 that would shut down the rights of workers and would undermine democracy in California by requiring a 7/8 vote of the legislature to pass legislation, meaning a tiny fraction of legislators could defeat the majority will. That same group of businesses has donated over $2 million to the California Republican Party. So while they are writing legislation to say that Republicans can block legislation that the majority wants, they're simultaneously buying them off. And in Oakland, they're trying to buy a council seat while fighting for the right from the city to have exclusive monopoly control, to not pay taxes, to not be subject to any of the laws that everybody else is subject to, that all the other businesses have to pay, and that everyone else has to do to be responsible in our community. And so I'm incredibly honored to be joined this morning by an amazing group of people. And so first we're going to hear from Assemblymember Lorena Gonzalez, who has been an amazing, dedicated, and steadfast leader on this issue and so much more. Assemblymember Gonzalez, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you for everybody who's on this. It is really a group of warriors because it's not easy in a democracy when there are companies who literally have billions of dollars to burn. And why do they have that money? They have that money because they're not paying their fair share in taxes. They're not paying their fair share. They owe California some more than $400 million into our unemployment insurance fund. And yet they're spending $181 million on a ballot initiative to exempt themselves out of any basic labor laws and any local or state laws. That's incredible. And while they're at it, they throw around a little money here or there to try to defeat candidates who stand up for values, who stand up to these billion-dollar corporations. But that's just not going to work. People see through that, and that's why we're here together. I am so proud to be standing with Rebecca Kaplan as she runs for re-election in Oakland, and I will tell you why. She's been a champion for people. She's been a champion for her community. And as a result of doing what's right, a result of not being influenced by big money and campaigns, she is the target of Lyft. That's incredible. And that she's not the only one. We've seen this throughout the state, by $100,000 by one company because she's willing to stand up. And that's the kind of elected officials we need and want. That's what people in California need and want. And it's time that we quit putting the wishes and desires of these billion-dollar corporations, who are creating, by the way, multimillionaires and billionaires at the top of their company. We often say these gig companies, the day they went public, made billionaires with a B out of individuals who did very little work and took on very little risk. And meanwhile, they have drivers who are sleeping in their cars, who can't afford housing, who have to rely on CalFresh to feed their children, who don't even make a minimum wage. And so they're taking their money, and rather than investing it in their workforce, and rather than investing it in our communities, they're using it to try to buy an election. I hope that we stand up this election cycle and say, no, enough is enough. It's time for Californians to really walk the talk. We are a progressive state. We are a democratic state who have rejected the ideals of Republicans and neoliberals, and we need to do that this year. We can't be fooled by fancy campaign mailers and ads that are on constantly to sell away our values. Because at the end of the day, it's the workers who are going to pay. It's our communities who are going to pay. and it's regular taxpayers and law-abiding businesses who are going to pay. I am proud to be in with this group of warriors, and we will continue to do this for the next 30 days as we ensure that people understand what's at stake in this election and say no to the billionaires trying to buy it. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Let's all do our virtual round of applause for our amazing Assemblymember Lorena Gonzalez. I am so honored to have your support. I'm so honored to stand together with you, saying that we're not going to let the billionaires buy our democracy. So thank you for your endorsement and support. And for anybody out there, before I go to the next speaker, who's wondering how you can help us fight back, we're posting in the chat and in the Facebook our link and our donate link. The amount of money that one company gave today is the equivalent of over 100 human beings, actual people, would be allowed to donate if every one of those people gave the maximum allowed in Oakland. The maximum allowed is $900 per person. If 100 people each gave the maximum of $900, that would still be less than what was the pocket change that this company felt like they could throw away to try to bully a council to give them tax loopholes, regulatory loopholes, exclusive monopolies. And keep in mind, tax evasion is not a new technology. Tax evasion is not an app. The fact that you use a device to do your business should not change your basic responsibilities to adhere to the same laws and the same rules that everybody else does. So if you're listening out there and you think this is outrageous, please consider donating today. Our website is kaplanforoakland.org. Our donate link is in the comments and the chat. And allies, you can send an email to your friends and supporters, telling them about this situation, sharing those links, letting them know to vote for Rebecca Kaplan, letting them know when they get that ad in the mail from Lyft not to fall for their lies about what they're saying they're trying to do in our community. So thank you so much. Bless you, Assemblymember, and Godspeed in all your amazing work. And our next speaker is Ash Kalra, also an amazing, dedicated advocate, fighter for the people. Thank you so much for standing with us. You have the floor. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Rebecca. As my wonderful colleague, Councilmember Gonzalez, just said, it's incredible to be with community leaders, elected officials, labor leaders, people that understand what is going on. And Rebecca, I'm not surprised one bit that you understand the importance of this battle that we're going through in our state on the Prop 22 measure, but even more specifically on what we're seeing in our economy, what people are going through in our economy, how people are struggling here in the Bay Area, some of the most severe income inequality in the nation. And it gets exacerbated by these companies that continue to push for policies that only benefit them and their Wall Street investors and care very little about anyone else, certainly not their workers. And so, we've always known, or at least a number of us have known, that campaign finance has been an issue for a long time, certainly post-Citizens United. But for a while, there was actually some shame, a little bit, in how much we're dumping into campaigns. Well, that's all gone now. They're not even hiding it anymore. When we see what's happening with Prop 22 and over $180 million spent trying to create a separate worker classification that really allows a serf class, an underclass of workers for the benefit of the profit of these multi-billion-dollar corporations. But let me bring it back local, Rebecca, because you've been a phenomenal council member, because you've been looking out for the interests of Oakland residents. And so you try to stand up for your residents. You try to hold these companies accountable. And what happens? They come after you. They don't just come after you on your policy, say, hey, we disagree. Let's write a letter. Let's lobby, which they have every right to do. The mayor, the council members. Hey, we disagree with Councilmember Kaplan. No, they're literally coming after you, your seat, your political livelihood, and which would be an incredible disservice to the people of Oakland if we were to allow this to happen. But let's make no mistake. This is not just about Rebecca Kaplan. This is a warning to every elected official out there at every level of government. If you come after these billionaires, they're going to come after you. And we cannot let that stand. We cannot, as a community, let Rebecca go through this fight alone. We have to recognize that we're in this together. Tomorrow, it could be me. It could be Carroll, Fife. It could be, Igor. It could be any number of folks that they're going to come after that are standing up for the people. And so, Rebecca, I stand with you 100%. in your race, in your campaign, and even more importantly, in the values you uphold. Because we've got to stand up to these corporations. They're going straight up oligarchy mode. They're trying to take over all levels of government. They will not take no for an answer. And if they hear no, they'll come after you. And that's what they're proving, what they're willing to do. If they're showing us who they are, let's believe them, because they're showing us every day as we see 20, 30, 40 ads on TV for Prop 22. By the way, some of the most deceptive, lie-filled ads I've ever seen. And you can't go online, you can't go anywhere without seeing it, because they're spending close to $250 million trying to deceive the California people. And so let's keep fighting. Everyone that's tuning in, please check in with Rebecca's campaign, find out how you can fight back in Oakland to make sure that the people decide who represents them in Oakland and not the corporations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to see you again, and we will keep fighting this fight. And I think Ash makes an incredibly important point. Not only are the billionaires spending a lot of money to throw their weight around, they are lying. They are sending out false information. Their ballot measure would undermine worker safety. It would undermine community safety. It would take away the ability to pass laws the normal ways we do in a democracy. And so similarly at the local level in Oakland, they're lying about who they are. They're lying about why they're here. They created a fake PAC with a funny name that they changed 5 times so that people wouldn't know that it was actually these billionaire corporations like Lyft spending this money. And so this deception is also part of why we need to warn the public and why people need to know, don't believe it, don't fall for their lies. We need to protect our community and protect workers. And thank you so much for all you do to do that. And with that note, we are incredibly honored to be joined by Art Pulaski, who is a stalwart leader in this effort, has been fighting for the rights of workers for decades and to protect our community. Art, welcome, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Hi there, good to see you.
Lyft somehow thinks that our democracy is for sale in California. We're here to say that they're dead wrong. Lyft is $1 billion corporation on a spending spree, like we've never seen before. First, they joined Uber in writing a ballot measure that would exempt themselves from all California laws that protect workers. Then they put down $180 million, which is more than any ballot measure in the history of California, in fact, the history of the country, to pass the proposition with the terrible 2-2 on November 3rd. Now they're putting $100,000 into a local race to attack you, Rebecca Kaplan, a working class champion. So you know what they're not spending their money on? They're not spending any money on protecting their own drivers. While Lyft goes on a spending spree in California politics, and other corporations are giving the personal protective equipment, PPE, to their employees. Lyft is selling it to their employees, their drivers, as they're selling the PPE. Their drivers make so little as it is, as Assemblywoman Gonzalez said a few minutes ago. Many have to sleep in their cars. And now they spend even more to launch a smear campaign against candidates like you, Rebecca, who support a living wage and good benefits for workers. California Labor Federation is happy to join Assemblymembers Kalra and Gonzalez and Liz Ortega, our terrific leader of the Alameda Labor Council, to call out this obscene spending that attack you with. I'm confident that when voters hear about Lyft's outrageous intentions to make more profit at the expense of their drivers and their riders, I'm certain they reject this troublesome campaign against you, Rebecca Kaplan, and their Proposition 22 on Election Day. So I hope you'll join us all by voting yes on Rebecca Kaplan and no on Prop 22, the terrible twos. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And it's so good to see you. And thank you for everything you do every day to fight for protections for workers throughout our state. So thank you. And I'm very honored to have you with us this morning. And the reminder to remind your friends to vote. And as Art said, vote yes on Rebecca Kaplan and no on 22, and vote early. And make sure you send your ballot back either in the mail early or bring it to a drop box or a safe ballot drop location, and vote no on 22. Let's not let these billionaire corporations rewrite our laws so that they are exempt from what everybody else has to comply with. So thank you so much for that. It's been an interesting week to learn about billionaires who don't pay taxes. So next, I'm incredibly honored to bring up Carroll Fife. Carroll Fife has been working on the ground in the community with community in Oakland for many years, fighting for core economic justice issues and basic human rights. And I'm very, very honored to have with us this morning, Carroll Fife. Carroll.
Thank you, Rebecca. And this is an amazing group of individuals that I'm here with this morning. And Rebecca, you are going to win. You are going to win because the people in Oakland recognize when political games are afoot. This is not just about some innocent group of people that are concerned with politics. These are billionaires. These are the people that are trying to buy our democracy. But I am so proud of Oakland residents who know the difference. No matter how much information they're putting out, it is evident in my people-centered campaign where we have over 600 volunteers that people want change. And what they want change is from the status quo that allows wealth to be able to dictate what is happening in our cities. Right now, this is not about just transportation. It is also about a housing group that wants to continue to develop market rate housing without any constraints. That is the group that's behind this effort to unseat Rebecca, because Rebecca has been a champion, not only for my members at ACE, but for every person that is struggling to remain in the city of Oakland because the rents are too damn high. The rents are too high, and it is impossible for a working person, especially someone who works for Lyft, to be able to rent or buy a house. And Rebecca has been our champion. She has always stood by us when we're fighting for workers' rights, as well as renters' rights, and to stop illegal foreclosures and all of the different things that we care about, all of the things that working people care about. The only individuals who are saying anything different are the ones who can pay for a bullhorn loud enough to tell lies to the voting public. And we are not standing by for that. So if it can happen with my movement-based campaign, it can happen for Rebecca. So if you are supporting Carroll Fife for District 3, then you should also support Rebecca Kaplan. I'm maxing out today. I'm maxing out my financial contribution to Rebecca. I'm asking all of my volunteers and all of my supporters to do the same. This is an attempt to stop a Kaplan and Fife partnership on City Council. We cannot allow that. We will be able to achieve so many things for progressive Oakland with us working side by side in City Hall. So let's make that happen. If you support me, support Rebecca. Do it, because that is what we need. I need her partnership. I need her leadership on the issues she has been accountable to us and not accountable to Lyft. When she tried to push for a modest tax on rideshare companies, they pushed back and fought it through follow the money. They paid off community organizations. They got the support of other elected officials who are able to be bought. And Rebecca said, no, I stand with the people of Oakland. She has done that, and she will continue to do that. I hope to be right alongside her, helping her with that as well. So if you can hear me, if you are supportive of me, if you believe in movement change, then we got to keep Rebecca in Oakland City Council. And Rebecca, you got my support, 110%.
Oh, thank you so much, Carroll. That means so much to me. And I'm so appreciative of your long-standing commitment. And, Carroll is not someone who started saying these things when it was popular or when it was an election season. Carroll has been working on these very issues for decades. And so thank you so much. It's an honor. And yes, together we will do great things for Oakland, and great things that serve the needs of everyone in Oakland, not just people who can throw around $100,000 like it's nothing. And in fact, for the people that can't do that, that is what needs to be uplifted. And so thank you. Thank you for being here. And so next up, I'm incredibly pleased to bring to us a leader in SEIU Local 10-1, somebody who really knows where the rubber meets the road and what goes on every day and what it means to treat workers with respect and what it means when people don't, and what happens when billionaires won't pay their fair share, and what that means for public services that get decimated when we don't have that basic tax fairness. And so I'm very pleased to bring up Gary Jimenez. Gary, you have the floor.
Good morning, Rebecca, and thank you. This morning it's good to see you. Yes, I am with SEIU 10-1. I'm also a vice president at the Alameda Central Labor Council, where we represent over 130,000 workers here in Alameda County. My local SEIU 10-1 represents over 60,000 workers in all of Northern California. And being on the front lines of that fighting for workers, we see the attack that is happening to working class families all over the state of California, but I see it specifically here in Alameda County in Northern California, and specifically in Oakland, what's happening. And I don't know about you all, but I'm tired of going up against large corporations who spend millions of dollars against working class families, against working class values, and against our communities. Their interests are corporate interests and corporate profits. They're not community values. That's not what they're fighting for. And it's time that voters wake up, time that we all wake up, and that we stay woke. And let's show these corporations that they cannot buy our vote. Let's vote for working families. Let's vote for our communities, the things that we need in order for people to thrive in our communities. Let's vote for Rebecca Kaplan, who embodies those values, the values that we believe in. I support you, Rebecca, wholeheartedly, and push for that support because I know that you have fought for our workers, and you will continue to fight for those workers, those working class families. And you will continue to embody the values that we need for working families to thrive, for those children to thrive, to grow up healthy, strong, educated, and productive members of our community that themselves can raise up and be leaders that do the same thing. I just want to say thank you, Rebecca, for all the support you've given to all of our workers and to everybody in our communities. You've done a tremendous job, and let's keep the fight up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gary. And I so appreciate it. And thank you for being here and for everything you do to help protect and fight for the needs of our community. It is so essential. And let's keep in mind the types of things these companies want to get away with, whether it is underpaying their workers, not paying workers' comp, not paying taxes, blocking bike lanes, blocking bus stops. I mean, now that they are demanding in Oakland, they want exclusive rights over bike share in Oakland. They want a law that would say no other companies but Lyft can do bike share in Oakland. And then when they get you to sign up for their company's business, they use that app to send you messages telling you how to vote on ballot measures. So this is all also about trying to buy our democracy, and we cannot let that happen, neither in Oakland nor statewide. And so next up, we have another dedicated ally, activist, environmentalist, longtime person who's worked on so many of these issues in our community, Igor Tregub, who's with the Sierra Club, and also an amazing person in his own right, separate from his organizational affiliation. Igor, welcome. Good morning.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And I come to you not as chair of the Northern Alameda County group, which represents 8,000 members, not as immediate past chair of the Sierra Club SFA chapter, which represents 33,000 members, but I'm speaking on behalf of the entire Sierra Club. We speak with one voice, and today we're speaking out against the malpractice that companies like Uber and Lyft have done in recent months, as well as over the years. I'm speaking with one voice in solidarity with all the working families of Oakland. You know, misclassification of workers, which is something that AB 5, which are fierce fighters here, like Assembly members Gonzalez and Carroll put in place. Initially, what they were trying to solve is the misclassification of workers in the trucking industry. The trucking industry for decades has attempted to shed expenses like benefits and the costs of buying and maintaining trucks. And What we have seen in recent years is this reality has played out as different ports have tried to reduce the emissions they create to the truck traffic they draw. New rules on truck emissions have helped spur some trucking companies to misclassify drivers. This is exactly what Uber and Lyft is trying to do now. This may seem like a new thing. It's app-based, but it is not new. Tax evasion is not new, and it must be stopped. And today, we are speaking out with one voice against any attempt to purchase the very democratic process in Oakland and in our state. In Berkeley, we are proud to have worked on and have helped endorse Measure GG. This is a tax on TNC users. We wanted it to be a tax on TNCs, but the TNCs have been smart and they bought part of the state government so that laws could be written preempting that. But until TNCs begin to pay their fair share, city governments like Berkeley and Oakland have to clean up the acts of these greedy companies through ensuring that there is investment in road infrastructure with an emphasis on bike and pedestrian improvements, investments in public transit, and in general, ensuring that equity is the name of the game. I really want to thank Council President Kaplan for her courage in trying to pass in Oakland the same thing that Berkeley passed. And what does she get in return for that? Unprecedented amounts of money paid for by billionaires and cycled through several shell packs. Well, let me tell you this. Lyft has done something important today. No pun intended, but it has uplifted what matters most to Oaklanders and Californians, the assertion that neither is for sale. Our environment is not for sale. Workers' rights are not for sale. Our democracy is not for sale. And the Sierra Club stands united with labor in support of Rebecca Kaplan and other pro-environment, pro-labor candidates. And we stand in complete opposition to Prop 22. No on Prop 22. You know what is the one thing that will be able to prevail over big money? People power. And that's what we have on our side today. So thank you so much for joining Council President Kaplan. It is a humbling to be in the midst of so many warriors for justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your solidarity. Thank you for uplifting the connection between the needs of workers, the needs of the community, the needs of the environment. Do you know that the largest share of traffic congestion increase in the last 10 years in the Bay Area has been from the TNCs, has been from the Ubers and the Lyfts? And you know why they cause so much congestion? Because they set up their systems to make workers fight against each other, to drive around circling, waiting for passengers. They intentionally bring in more drivers than they have passengers. They bring people in from far away to drive. And so they are pitting the workers against each other in a way that hurts workers, and it hurts the environment, and it hurts traffic congestion, and it hurts pedestrians and bicyclists and public transit. And so, you know, when we say in the movement, an injury to one is an injury to all, this is really showing that. They are trying to upend our democracy, hurt the workers, hurt the environment, hurt the public transit. An injury to one is an injury to all, and let that be a call for us to all stand together. And I have a couple more speakers, but one thing I want to say to Lyft before I go to them is that they are trying to attack me while hiding behind a soft money PAC with a fake name. Why not just make a PAC called Billionaires for Tax Loopholes for Billionaires? If you want to fight for what you're actually fighting for, which is that you shouldn't play by the same rules as everybody else in terms of taxes, regulation, worker protection, say that. Don't create a fake PAC called like Apple Pie and expect people to buy your lies. We know that PAC is funded by Lyft. That's where the money's coming from. That's who's behind this. And so Lyft, if you want to do this in secret, I challenge you to do it in public. Debate me. Lyft, debate me. Don't make up a fake PAC with a fake name to peddle your desire for billionaires to get tax loopholes. Stand up in public. We'll show up. We'll do it on Zoom so it'll be safe. And debate me. Explain why you should not follow the same rules that everybody else, including all the other businesses doing business here, have to follow. And explain why you think you deserve a pure monopoly. And do that out loud in public instead of hiding behind a fake PAC. Put your mouth where your money is. Put your mouth where your money is. I know that $100,000 means nothing to you, but do you have the courage to stand up in public and say what you believe in? Because I have the courage to stand up in public and say what I believe in. And so I'm challenging you, Lyft. Put your mouth where your money is. Be willing to actually debate what you're actually trying to do to our city and to our state. And so we will keep calling on them to do that. And I hope all the media who is joining us, and thank you all very much for joining us, will ask Lyft if they're willing to debate me, if any of you want to host that debate on Zoom, because we're doing safe social distancing. But I will be happy to debate you. You can pick Lyft whoever you want to represent you in this debate. And why don't you explain what you're really trying to do to Oakland and to California? And we can have that argument. So I'm not the only person under attack by billionaires. And so we are very honored to also be joined today by two amazing grassroots community-oriented candidates for school board. And so I want to give our welcome and our appreciation next to Sam Davis. Sam, if you have an opportunity, thank you so much for joining us. I'm very pleased to be supporting you and to have your support in this effort. And Sam, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rebecca, so much. And I'm really proud to be standing with you today. It means so much to be able to support you and to have your support. And it's also really sweet to be here with Carroll. You know, Carroll and I met when we were parent volunteers and our kids were going to elementary school together a long time ago. And so that's the kind of investment we need in our community, not this kind of cynical investment in anti-grassroots candidates. We need real investment in our community. And I would love to see that debate you were talking about. I think it would go down a lot like the Elizabeth Warren versus Michael Bloomberg debate, where he was just eviscerated by Elizabeth Warren. And it is actually Michael Bloomberg in this case who, I'm not just standing with Rebecca because I admire her progressive policies and her long track record, but because we have the same enemies. So billionaire Michael Bloomberg donated $500,000 to oppose the 4 teacher-supported school board candidates here in Oakland this year. That's $500,000 just in these 4 local races. And that's how it's been just so damaging to our democracy to have this kind of big money in our civic politics. It's not just a problem at the national level. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has said that every billionaire is a failure of public policy. There shouldn't be that kind of concentration of wealth. And we see how that kind of the Supreme Court decision allowing vast expenditures in political races has damaged our national conversation, but it's also damaging our local civic life. As I'm going door to door trying to have conversations with voters, it's like there's a giant billionaire-funded bullhorn blasting in our ears because we have that kind of money being spent against us. We're just trying to build up a grassroots campaign. That's why I started so early on, getting hundreds of parents involved, hundreds of teachers involved in this campaign. And I do believe that we can win. I think that we can build this kind of grassroots power. Rebecca, I believe you will win. I know Carroll's going to win. We can defeat this Bloomberg-funded campaign and the Lyft-funded campaign because we do have the people power that Igor was talking about. And we can make a change. We can show them that this stops here in Oakland. We will not let our democracy be destroyed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sam. Absolutely. We are supposed to have a principle of one person, one vote. And these billionaires, this money, it means so little to them. It's just a way to throw their weight around and to bully people. And we can't let that stand. And it's so important that we support candidates who care about and support our grassroots community. That means supporting people like Carroll Fife, who I'm so glad, Carroll, that you're here today. Supporting people like Sam Davis, and thank you for being here today. And supporting people like our next speaker, VanCedric Williams, who also similarly is dedicated and committed to serving the needs of our community. And so VanCedric, I want to welcome you and give you the floor.
Thank you, Rebecca. It is a pleasure to be here, stand with you. I'm standing in front of Prescott Elementary, talking to parents one-on-one as they come in. I'm really trying to hear their voice because we have a problem here. We have billionaires dumping $500,000 in OUSD school board, local PACs, and school board races. The parents' voices get drowned out, and consistently, the candidates who are supported by the billionaires do not listen to the community. So I'm here today to stand in front of Prescott and talk to each and every parent, just to let them know that I hear them and I will take their concerns and their ideas to the board. You see, Rebecca, these billionaires are trying to buy us. They're trying to change the laws. They're trying to control the community, and we're not going to allow that to happen. As a result, we have to fight back. We have to fight back with people power. We have to fight back with community power. We have to fight back with labor power. We have to fight back and get the message out. Enough is enough. You know, as a result, for OUSD school board, we have been, the community has been completely exploited by the big money. A majority of the candidates are aligned with corporate interests rather than the community. And our students, our families, our community voices have been removed from decision-making power. We need to return it back to the community. If we want to build some trust in our community, we need to listen to the voices of our students, our parents, our teachers, and then we need to end this corporate buyout of the school board. To paraphrase the late RBG, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Ginsburg in her dissent, Citizens United decision, our democracy is not for sale. We're not going to accept it. And I want to tell you, Rebecca, we stand with you and we're going to stay in the community. I will be at every school talking to every parent that comes to the school about how we can take back our board for OUSD. Voters demand the truth. Oakland is not for sale, and we need to end billionaires buying our elections, so vote on 22. I stand with you, Rebecca.
Whew, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And bless you and Godspeed. It is a pleasure to have you here and to see you. And best of luck in your campaign as well. And to you and to Sam and to Carroll and to Igor as well. Everyone who is joining us this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And so I know we told folks we'd let them go timely, so I want to make sure to honor that. And I really want to appreciate and thank all of you and make sure that we are making clear that this huge money from the billionaire corporations is at unprecedented levels, both statewide in their campaign on Prop 22. Please vote no on 22. Do not let their billions allow them to decimate rights for workers and for community. Not only do they want to abuse their workers, they want to take away the right of the government to have basic regulations for public safety and for community needs. This would really be government of, by, and for the billionaire corporations, and that cannot stand. So please vote no on 22. And in Oakland, beware when you see the ads that Lyft is sending against me. It's because I dared to stand up for the community. So don't fall for their lies. Don't let them buy an election. I will not be bullied, and I will not back down from serving the needs of our community. And so I challenge Lyft, who's spending so much money to try to oust me. Instead of hiding behind your money, debate me in public. Come talk about your vision and what you want and why you think you and you alone shouldn't pay the taxes that everyone else pays, shouldn't follow the laws that everyone else follows. And we can have that political argument, but don't hide behind this fake soft money PAC with a fake name. Argue in public. Debate me, Lyft, or admit that you're lying. We know that our democracy is valuable. We should not let our elections be suppressed. We should not let votes be ignored. We should not let the Postal Service be messed with. And we should not let billionaires use lies to undermine our democracy. So please vote. Please vote early. Send your ballot back early. All Californians are being sent vote by mail ballots starting today. So look out for that ballot. Make sure you take good care of it. Fill it out. Send it back soon or bring it to an official ballot drop box or safe voting location. In Oakland, one of those large social distance safe voting locations will be at the Oakland Coliseum, October 31st through November 3rd. But please send your ballot in before that if you can, either by mail early or to a drop box. Please vote no on 22. My name is Rebecca Kaplan. I'm your Oakland Councilmember at Large, and I'm asking for your vote as well. You can learn more about us at kaplanforoakland.org, as well as the links in the chat and in the Facebook. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Best wishes and solidarity, and let's make it a very strong election month. We have election month in California, so let's make sure we get out the vote.